Hello, I'm Leo. I'm Israeli. So, as you probably heard, we have in Israel we have the Haredim, the ultra Orthodox. That the majority of them they don't want to serve in the Israeli army, and many people don't understand why. People sometimes don't get their own idea on why is that. And I want to explain to you what are the ultra Orthodox communities in Israel. All right, so it's about 10%, 13% of the population, and they are either Ashkenazi Jews or Sephardi Jews, and they live in according to the halacha completely. They have their own education system, which is separated from the secular education system and from the religious education system. In Israel, there are four. There's also the Arab one. All right. So in this educational system of the Orthodox, they study basically the Torah, and they study the Talmud, and they only study to a limited number. They only study just a bit of English and mathematics. Not sufficient enough, really not sufficient enough in order to, once they come to, as an adult, when they come, their skills and ability are sometimes very, very low in comparison to the regular Israeli who can speak English, who can read English, and also understand mathematics, so he can be an engineer in all sorts of fields. And the result is that community, the ultra Orthodox community in Israel, is actually considered to be on the poorest Jewish community in Israel. If you have the seculars, which are the richer in the community in the entire country, middle class and upper class, all of them are either secular or religious, traditional Jews. While on the Orthodox, most of them are in the lower section, poor. Some of them, of course, are rich because they have all sorts of businesses, usually overseas, not in Israel itself. And they, of course, they have a tradition that usually the rich person is keeping other people with stipends, like basically paying for their food and so on. And you need to understand that some of those people, they don't go to work. The women go to work. The men usually don't go to work. And by the way, the thing is that because they don't go to the army, it also limits their ability to go to work. And this is why actually some of them they say, oh, we studied the Talmud, we studied the Torah, so that's why we are exempt from going to the army, and that's why you can't work, even though they do work to some level. Okay, so the conclusion is that first of all, they don't join the army, and the army needs them. Israel needs them. Israel need manpower. All right. And also, they are poor, so some of them they don't work because they don't work, and they get a lot of benefits and welfare from the country. These create basically a situation that they are poor, but the rest of the people in the country working, going to the army, paying taxes, and they have resentment towards those people. And even though they didn't earn this, it's all because of the consequence of the laws in Israel that allow them not to go to the army and also not to work. And because of that, the situation is like this. All right. Obviously, if it's not that they wanted this situation, this is the result. But people are saying, okay, go to the army like everyone else, like I did. Go to work, and then everything's gonna be just fine. You can't complain that you're poor if you don't go to work, right? All right. And if you didn't go to the army, in Israel, if you don't go to the army, it's considered to be very like a non-social thing. It's like a social suicide to some extent, all right? Because anyone that is something in society must join the army. So even religious figure in Israel, which are ultra-Orthodox, they do go to the army. So, for example, the Minister of Internal Affairs, for example, Haredi, which has been in politics for maybe, I don't know, maybe 40 years, even he went to the army, but he didn't go to 3 years. Okay. Smotrich, by the way, is not ultra-Orthodox, is religious Zionist. He went to the army after he finished his yeshiva study. He went to 1.5 years. All right. Which by the way, if you study in a yeshiva, but in a Zionist religious yeshiva in Israel, you do go to the army, but you only go to a year and a half. This is what they call the Hestel, all right? So I'm not talking about those guys, which, by the way, there's a lot of them. If you go to any kind of infantry unit in Israel, special forces, armed corporal, and even the Air Force and the Navy, you will find lots of Kippa, Yarmulke people. All of them they're not ultra-Orthodox. They are religious Zionists, right? There are some which are really ultra-Orthodox for real. There is an entire unit in the Israeli army which is just for ultra-Orthodox, okay? But still, the numbers of them joining is still very few, all right? And the rabbis, the main rabbis of the Torah community, is saying, don't go to the army, because they're saying if you go to the army, you will become not religious and so on. And to some extent, it is true that those people that are living inside of their own ghetto in many ways, it is a ghetto in many ways. And so they live only with the Jewish narrative of life. When they go to the army, they meet other soldiers, they meet females, they meet women, and they see how other people are living their life. They're happy, they sustain themselves, that they're working, that they're educated, that they're smart, that they are funny, and they're saying, I also want to be like that. So there is some truth to that some people which are ultra-Orthodox, when they go to the army, usually they become a bit less orthodox, they become a bit more open-minded. And this is something that they are afraid of, okay? And I totally understand that. But we need to go back and understand why the ultra-Orthodox have a problem with the state of Israel, even though the state of Israel is going way over its head just to accommodate those people, our brothers, the ultra-Orthodox Jews, by giving Israel provide them welfare and so on, and paying for their food stipend and all sorts of other tax cuts and also. So, when I as a secular Israeli, when I went to the army, nobody asked me what I want. Nobody asked me what are my conditions, what are my beliefs. You are a secular Israeli. Come and shut up and do your job, and do your 3 years and shut up. And in my time, which was 25 years ago, I get like maybe 500 shekels of salary, which was basically to buy cigarettes. And today you have a minimum wage salary and so on. But even after that, when I finished the army, I had to go to work. If I were to go to work, for example, in a gasoline station for like a year, then I will get some sort of money. There was some money that, some grant that very small grant, like 25,000 shekels, which today it's a lot. Today it's maybe, 2 salaries, 2 months salaries, 2 months salaries. That's all, just 2 months salaries that I got. It was maybe 5 salaries 25 years ago that I got, and with this I paid 2 years in college. That's it. So. But if you compare that to what ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel are getting, it's actually getting much more. And it is true. And today with the war in Gaza and also in Lebanon, the unfairness of those that serve and those that don't serve is just, the gap is way too deep, and people want to change that. And because of people are angry. But you need to understand that why ultra-Orthodox Jews, and not talking about the one in Israel, talking about the one overseas, for example, why they oppose Zionism, and why this is a bridge that for them it seems a bit too far. And I want to understand that, first of all, Zionism, there is modern Zionism and there is religious Zionism that precede that, all right? So the idea of religious Zionism says that the Messiah will come. When he will come, the world going to be a better place, and only then the Jews going to have their own state, and the enemies, whoever they are, Muslims or Christians, they will be all dead, because the Messiah will either kill them or let them disappear or whatever, and the Jews will rebuild their temple, and everything going to be just fine. All the Jews going to come back from the diaspora, and everything going to be just fine. All right. And most of the Jews that came to the land of Israel in the Ottoman period, before that in the Mamluk period, in the Crusade period, in our period, they were people that were Messianic. They actually believed that if they're going to come, the Messiah will come, or that the Messiah already came and they need to go. to the land of Israel. And this situation continued again, until there was a very big messianic movement of a false Messiah in the 17th century in Israel, in Gaza, by the way, the Shabtai Tzvi movement, that basically broke the Jewish world, because so many Jews actually followed that false Messiah. So the entire idea of messianism, this idea that just wait for the Messiah, and then you will go to the land of Israel, and then you're going to build your state, and so on. This idea was kind of like starting to shake seriously, but people continue as if everything is just the same. But it didn't sit right, and this is why the Hasidut movement grew up right after that. And what they did, they came to the land of Israel. But they were saying, oh, we're going to go to the land of Israel. Talking about the 18th century and the 19th century, they came to the land of Israel, and they said, oh, we're going to come, and the Messiah will come. But the Messiah didn't come, all right? So some people among them, they started to say, hey, the Jews need to build a state in their homeland, regardless if the Messiah is here or will come or will not come. Regardless of that, the Jews need to build their own state in their homeland. Why? Because the Jews in the land are suffering from the Muslims, and the Jews in the diaspora are suffering from the Christians. So the solution for that, one way or another, is to establish a state in their homeland. Now, this idea was there, and it evolved in the 19th century, and some Jews actually came to the land of Israel from that reason. But this idea progressed and moved to secular, which were the first Zionists like Moshe Hess and Pinsker and Herzl, and they took this idea and they say, yeah, we don't need to wait for the Messiah. We can just we need to establish a state because we deserve a state. Because everybody else is doing it, and because this way we can use anti-Semitism, we can use that as a driving force, that if Jews are suffering somewhere in the world, and Zionism basically saying that Jews will suffer and be hated anyhow, doesn't matter where, when, and doesn't matter why, Jews going to be hated. Zionism accept that and say, okay, let's use that for our benefit, making sure that Jews will always come to the land of Israel. They will have somewhere to come, that they can be whatever kind of Jew you are. If you are ultra-Orthodox, secular, atheist, whatever, you're a Jew because you're part of the nation of Israel. Doesn't matter what you believe. You always have a place to go and call home. And if you're suffering in Canada or in England or in Morocco, you can always come to the land of Israel. And this brilliant idea actually drove quite a lot of people to the land of Israel. And things went as they went and they progressed. But what happened is that eventually they did create a state, and then they became independent, and then they defeated their enemies, which were much bigger than them and much stronger than them, and they built economy and so on. So basically, those guys, which most of them are secular, they did everything, almost everything, except building the temple again. They did everything that the Messiah is supposed to do. And this thing is a problem, because that means that basically everything that was done until then by the Orthodox, but they were making prayers and making fasts and they're waiting for the Messiah, all this was maybe was in void, but maybe it was in vain, because the secular came and they did that, they did this and this and this and that. And even though it was very hard for them, obviously God helped them. So this is actually, it's a religious problem with the messianic view. All right. Now I can tell you that the religious Zionism actually solved this issue. They're saying no, it's okay. Herzl and Pinsker and Ben Gurion, all those guys, those are a part of the messianic age. And what we read about the Bible, when the Messiah, that's basically the third temple, the metaphorically third temple, the state of Israel, which is what God basically promised us, that we're gonna be free and we're gonna be sovereign again. This is it. This is what actually they believe in. This, so actually they find a solution to this question. But ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel don't see that that clear, because they have a problem with the fact that Israel is a secular country, it's a liberal country, all right? So those two things are a problem. Now you might say that, okay, so what? So progress, but they cannot progress, okay? They say, how can this be? How can be a part of this state, even that it's Jewish, but women can wear whatever they want, and they can drive on Shabbat and so on, you know. So so that's a problem from their point of view, and no one is really addressing this issue. People are telling them join the army regardless of those important religious issue. All right. So basically, there is a problem, and it's a problem of ideas, and this is why ultra-Orthodox, they have a problem to do so. But I think that because of the war, there are two things that actually they need to accept and be happy with that and join the army. First of all, you need to understand that the war showed that it doesn't matter if you're ultra-Orthodox or not. The enemy wants you dead because you are a Jew, and because of that, you have an obligation to fight against this enemy, and you must join the IDF regardless if it's secular or not secular, or if it's messianic or not messianic. It doesn't really matter. You have an obligation just to protect the Jewish people, and this is why some religious ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel, they do join the army, because they do understand that they're actually manifesting a very important mitzvah, which is to defend the people of Israel. By fighting in the IDF, you are fighting against the enemy of Israel. So you are physically protecting, you physically risking your life. You are putting your life in the hand of God, which is Kiddush Hashem, which is a very high merit. So you're making a mitzvah by serving in the army. All right. And by the way, most Israelis think that the Israeli soldiers are holy, all right, because they are risking their life for the state of Israel, for the people of Israel. So even if you're ultra-Orthodox, you need to see that this is a really high level of purity and also holiness. All right. Now the other thing you need to understand is that there are units in the Israeli army which are fit to accommodate not only religious people, but also ultra-Orthodox. There are already units which are completely 100% just for ultra-Orthodox Jews. They don't have any female over there. The kitchen is ready for them. So they can do that, right? So because of those two conditions, that it's possible and it's a good thing to do it, it's a merit to do so. So and this is actually much better. The result will be much better. It's not only that you're going to protect the land of Israel, protect the people of Israel. Also, you're going to go to the army. Then you can go to work. You can provide for your family. So the end result will be much better for you personally, and to your community, and to your people. And this is why the Orthodox should join the army immediately, regardless of any other unsolved religious disagreement with Zionism. Okay?